Angela. It's Michelle Angela Ortiz.
Okay.
So people sometimes say Angela, or some people just call me Angela and
Angela.
forget and miss the Michelle.
Michelle, let's start by asking you to introduce yourself.
My name is Michelle Angela Ortiz, and I am a visual artist, community arts educator, muralist, and filmmaker.
To start, what's the 20-second top line explanation of what Our Market is?
Sure. So the Our Market project is a multi-layered, multi-year project, public art project that I created in 2019 that invests in both immigrant and migrant communities in the 9th Street Market, or what's known as the Italian Market, but it's one of the oldest outdoor markets in the United States.
And very soon, I think this weekend, as of this recording, you'll be starting the Our Market tours where people can sign up on your website. What will people see on these tours?
Yeah, so the tours are actually supported, thankfully, through Philadelphia 250 and Visit Philly, as well as we've had larger support with the William Penn Foundation, and Our Market project is also in partnership with Mural Arts. But these tours specifically is really exciting because it is based both on historical facts of the market as well as the community stories that fill in the gaps. So communities that are often not represented, like recently arrived immigrants from Central America, South America, to the lasting and very present African American community that hasn't been included in these stories and how we speak to the market. But also just the collective action, right, within immigrants, within the immigrant communities, whether folks are coming from Italy 100 years ago to present day. And so what I'm really proud of the script itself, the tour script, which I developed along with Beyond the Bell Tours and community members, is that it kind of is a good arc of all of the different narratives and layered histories of the market. And then the artwork itself, right? We've through the Our Market project, we've been able to revitalize produce stands. We've done light boxes. We're currently doing a series of murals. We've done a open source digital archive, and we collect stories with our story cart that kind of stops at a butcher shop or at a t-shirt shop.
Yeah, when you say public art project in the market, people might think, oh, murals and maybe a statue, but it's really, you're talking about rebuilding some of the infrastructure there with an artistic point of view and with the community that's there. We talk a lot about it when we walked around the other day, but creating food carts for folks who the food carts might have been falling apart, and creating those food carts with artistic value, created with long conversations with the business owners, and then the lights and the other things.
So it's thinking of public art. Again, we do have murals, and the murals serve as the purpose of representing the narratives in the community and representing these stories in the midst of gentrification and a shifting environment. But at the same time, the revitalized stands and the light boxes provide a function, right? So it is both representing the community stories, but also is a way of preserving the 100-year-old tradition of the stands, for example, or providing safe lighting on the south end of the market.
So we saw 2 food stands that you worked on, one for John and one for Lydia on the market. What do you from what you can gather and the relationships you have, what do you think is the relationship between some of these vendors? A lot of them are selling the same things, right? So what is their relationship? Are they competitive? Do they coordinate pricing, products with each other? Like, what do you notice?
Some of the produce vendors are a bit competitive. And what was really beautiful that people don't get to see is just the reactions of the produce vendors. So when I revitalized John Gargano's stand, who's on Ninth and Carpenter, and Lydia stand, which is Ramos Produce, right beside him, prior to creating the stands, they really didn't speak to one another. Like there wasn't, it wasn't as cordial, let's say. And after both stands were installed, Lydia comes to me and says, she goes, I don't know, what did you do? What did you do to John? He's like so friendly and he's talking to us, and he was just more welcoming. And I thought, oh, that's really beautiful because, John Gargano is third generation of descendant of Italian immigrants. He's in his late 70s, kind of like the old school guy,
Yep.
right? And has been there for a very long time. And so sometimes people are not always open to change, right? And to see someone who is different in a space that, maybe a friend or another person used to be in, like sometimes that's difficult for people to accept. But I found that very beautiful moment of when I think of change, it's not just a transformation of these produce stands. It is the relationships of the people within the market and their perspectives of one another, because it was also for John the first time that he hears or had heard about Lydia and Joel's story, and vice versa, right? So the artwork itself serves as a purpose, not just to tell the stories for outsiders coming into the market, but even within ourselves. Like there's this assumption that we all know each other's story, but everyone in the market is hustling. Everyone in the market is, trying to push through, that sometimes there isn't time for reflection or that connection. And so I'm really thankful that this process has allowed for that to happen.
Take a stab at describing a day in the life of a produce vendor on the market.
So from the vendors that I know, a lot of them are waking up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning to go to the wholesale space where they're able to pick the right produce and bring it to the actual site. Then it is setting up shop. So really around like 7 a.m. or even earlier than that, they're starting to set up the stands. And then they're on their feet for most of the time, right? Outside on the hottest days and the coldest days. It is specifically for the produce vendors that are outside. And that is part of the tradition and the aesthetic of the market, right? These stands that right. The reason why we revitalized the stands was in order to, in a sense, claim space so that they're not displaced, because there were stands that spanned the whole length of the 9th Street Market. And we don't want to lose that, right? And so the artwork, in a sense, in these new stands are a way of preserving this and supporting the vendors. But, they're there, and then about 4 or 5 o'clock, depending on, the time, they start packing up and bringing in all the produce back into the storage spaces. And then the next day, it's the same thing over again. What I have found is that, when I was a child, the market was, used frequently, right? This was, again, before Walmart, before Target, before supermarkets.
GoPuff before,
yes.
Yeah.
So everything you found you needed was in this space in the 9th Street Market. But with all of these other entities and corporations that exist, it has affected, right, the function of the market in a sense. And so what I am aiming to do is not just supporting specifically the people of the market, but it's bringing people to the space beyond what they can, we all know the market is like, oh, I can get some good cheese or some cheap produce or go to my favorite butcher. But I want people to experience the market as a place that exemplifies Philadelphia history, immigrant history, and most importantly, American history. And that this is a cultural gem that we have that we need to continue to support. And it's beyond than what we're selling. It is really the people that make this place thrive.